is that during sunspot minimum, you get these equatorial extended plumes in the solar corona. During sunspot maximum, the corona is more spherically symmetric, more confined. It's kind of the opposite of what you might think. But and that was, that was one of the first things that was noticed about the corona, that it varied so much between eclipses, and it did seem to correlate with the sunspot cycle. So the sunspots of course are caused by the magnetic field of the sun, where you get bundles of magnetic field piercing through the surface, cooling down parts of it, but then apparently the regions above that get hot. I don't know. But at solar minimum, when you have very few sunspots, the field is much more well ordered, more like the magnetic field of the Earth, and so you get something that looks more like a dipole. And one of those photographs that I sent around looks kind of like that. So right now we're at solar minimum pretty much. For most of our practice sessions, we've unfortunately not had any sunspots to focus on. We had one sunspot last week that we could focus on. So I expect that the corona will be more equatorially extended, and I'm excited about that because the only other one I've seen was not. So I want to see one like that. It looks more like an eye, than like a crown. But we'll see. Yeah.
I guess I'm not clear. What on your camera setup that you're using? What is your field of view going to be? Is it going to be like 25% of the sun's diameter, or are you actually zooming in and focusing in on a spot on?
No. We'll see. We'll see something like 5 solar radii.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where are the students from, and why did you choose Wyoming?
Well, so I chose Wyoming because it's easy for us to get to from here, relatively. I mean, the closest places were western Nebraska or eastern Wyoming, and I got in touch early on with the coordinator for the state of Wyoming, Michael Pierce at the University of Wyoming in Laramie, and he was Wyoming has the most sites of any state because it's big and the eclipse goes, and he was having trouble filling some of the sites, So I took a site in the center of Wyoming, so not close to the Tetons and stuff where you'll probably get a lot of local weather, and far enough away from the eastern side where you'll get more Great Plains type weather. So I'm hoping that we'll have great weather there. The students are all from Los Alamos High School, and we. So I approached the science teachers at Los Alamos High School early in the school year, this past school year, to help me identify some students that would be eager to come along, and so it was Debbie Grothus and Stephanie Mitchell, and they had their eye out all year long for students who would be capable and eager and so forth. And then just in April we sent out a questionnaire and asked them to write little essays, and from that we picked out 8 students. So yes.
How many alternate sites do you have, and at what point would you call it?
We're pretty much committed to the one site.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean there are 68 sites, all the way across, and because of the logistics of camping out with a bunch of people, we're gonna, stick to the one site, whatever the weather. Right. If the weather is bad, we'll make other observations. Rick, do you want to talk about? Oh, yes, you.
Well, you mentioned 5 solar diameters. Is that about the optimal field of view?
Yeah, I mean, it's all of these things are compromises, right? I mean, you'd like to go farther out, but then you lose surface brightness, you lose integrated light, and so forth. So based on the characteristics of the telescope and so forth that we were able to come by, this is what we ended up with. it's not a bad choice, but yeah, we'd like to go farther out.
So those two folks right there are chasing the eclipse too, and they are going to be in the eastern U.S. observing it. And Dave wants to photograph it,
So I've got a 500 millimeter lens and a 600 millimeter, so I'll probably take both.
Yeah.
But,
Do you have mounts for both?
well, yeah, I've got a mount with a camera and
Yeah.
and the lens.
With a drive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Good, excellent, right.
That's kind of my follow-up on the same
Yeah.
topic. If you've got about 5 diameters, if you knew exactly where to point the camera, you almost wouldn't need a tracking drive, would you? Because isn't it right that about 2 minutes is about what it takes for 1 diameter?
Yeah, but you'd like to keep the whole thing in the center of the field, right? I mean, you'd like to be able to look 5 diameters.
Ideally,
Yeah.
but if you didn't
So,
have the money for
right.
a
Okay, yeah.
motor drive,
Yeah, but motor drives aren't that
you still got to
Yeah.
have it pointed just right, though, or you're
Yeah.
going to miss it when it goes across.
I think Rick wants to say something about a different project.
And we can talk more about this as well.
Yeah.
And I have a little bit of information about some of the questions people were asking. So back in the back, when you leave, pick up one of these if you want. This talks about the total solar eclipse as it's going to be seen in New Mexico, in Santa Fe or Los Alamos. And this is a little diagram showing what that is. It'll give you the times of maximum eclipse, when it begins, when it ends, those kinds of things. There's also a map of the eclipse path if you wanted to go to totality. As Galen said, there's an estimate of 7 million people driving into the path of totality. So you may be stuck on a parking lot that used to be a highway. But if you wanted to try to do that, this map there, and there's web references in here too. It's an interactive Google Maps, so you can zoom in on it at where your son-in-law lives or whatever, and click on it, and it'll tell you is it totality there, what's the duration, if it's not, how much of the sun is covered, and so on. So that's there's a reference for that down here as well. You mentioned the 1991 eclipse in La Paz. The photograph at the top here was taken in La Paz in 1991, and this one on the back was also taken in La Paz in 1991. On the back, there are a whole bunch of websites.
By you.
By me, yes. There are a bunch of websites on the back that will give you more information, and in particular, there are 2 more upcoming talks. One of them next Wednesday, July 26th, at Peak, which will be a kind of a general talk about the eclipse itself and what you can see in New Mexico. And we'll talk about, for example, photos that show what the size of the eclipse in the corona would look like with various different telephoto lenses, 400 millimeters, 500, 1,000, whatever. So you can get a really good feel for that. We also have another talk that's going to be on August 1st at Peak, and that talk is specifically for people who are interested in photographing the eclipse. We'll have some equipment available for people to look at. Galen's going to be there with his setup, and we'll give you an idea for those of you who are a little more interested in photography, how to photograph the eclipse with a cell phone camera, with a point-and-shoot camera. If you have a DSLR with telephoto lenses, we'll be covering that as well. So that's on August 1st at Peak. The one next week is 6:30. It's free if you're a member of Peak and $5 per family if you're not a member of Peak. The one on August 1st is completely free. It's co-sponsored by the Photo Club. Carolyn, you want to?
The one on the 26th, in addition to discussing what you would experience here in this area, 80% totality, we'll go into the phenomenology of experiencing totality and have a really good video of that to show.
Yeah, we have a video from a guy named Fred Espenak showing he was on a ship for this particular video, and showing what happens to the sky and the environment.